So, turns out there's a way to check whether an ability, item, or spell scales with attack power, spell damage, or healing, and by exactly how much it scales. Most things show their formula on wowhead.com, which has a Burning Crusade section now. You can see the formula in the description of the spell. And because Wowhead is directly plugged into the WoW files, they can be trusted. However, not all spells show their scaling coefficient on their website. So if you'd like to check something that doesn't show you any formula, you're going to need to grab its spell ID. You can also find these on Wowhead. For item procs and abilities, you can find their spell IDs by bringing up the item page and then clicking on the green text in its tooltip to get to the spell page. The numbers you see in the URL are the spell ID. You can also find the spell ID through WoW logs. With your spell ID, you can now head over to wow.tools, a data mine website of all classic WoW patches so far. You then click Tables, then Browse. Then click Select a Table, and click Spell Effect. Next to Spell Effect, you'll now see a big number starting with 9. Click this, and scroll down to the highest number of whatever expansion you're looking for. Numbers starting with 2 are Burning Crusade patches, and numbers starting with 1 are from Vanilla. Select your desired expansion and insert your spell ID into the search box in the upper right. The line we're looking for is Effect Bonus Coefficient. If it says 0, then whatever you're looking at doesn't scale. If it has a number greater than 0, it does scale. If your search brings up multiple lines, scroll all the way to the right side of the page. You can see which line matches up with your spell ID here. Sometimes there are multiple effects tied to one spell ID, but you're always looking for the line that either deals damage or heals. Of the abilities that have a bonus coefficient, physical damage abilities always scale with attack power, non-physical damage abilities always scale with spell damage, and heals always scale with your healing stat. Damage over time and heal over time abilities display how much scaling is applied on each tick of the spell, and area of effect abilities display how much scaling is applied to an individual target. Decimal places are just percentages, so 1 equals 100% scaling, 0.5 equals 50% scaling, and so on and so forth. Also, while 0 always means that something does not scale, the number 1 can be a false positive. Sometimes it's used for non-damaging effects, and sometimes it's used for abilities that are not even affected by the player's stats. For example, the Runeblade of Baron Rivendare displays a 1 in its coefficient, but it acts as though an NPC is casting the buff on you, so your own stats don't affect this. Instead, it can only be buffed through effects like Amplify Magic or Tree of Life Form, which buff your received healing. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop them in the comments, and also feel free to stop by the Armaments Discord server, link in the description. We're finding out lots of things in Burning Crusade through data mining. Thanks for watching, and go crazy!